From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, Lagos Governor visits Synagogue Church as the state threatens to apply the relevant laws, having discovered the collapsed building has no approval plan. 4 months after the tragic blast in Abuja, victims of the Yanya bombing still groan in pain. Some Nigerian professionals identify transparency as key to national development. And Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf sacked some serving ministers for leaving the country without permission. Nigerians have been urged to avoid trading blames and overreacting to religious indifferences, especially at the time the country is facing security challenges. At the second plenary of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, the Most Reverend Ignatius Kegama demanded that the two major religious bodies in the country, Jamaatul Nasril Islam and the Christian Association of Nigeria, come together and have very objective and sincere meetings aimed at promoting peace. In the same vein, His Eminence John Cardinal Onayekon said the conference will afford the bishops the opportunity to deliberate on pressing issues in the country, amongst which is the 2015 elections.
Two things are pressing. First, the issue of security, what's happening in the northeast, and we are going beyond terrorism. We are talking about people taking over and part of our country. And the second, which is linked with it, is the issue of 2015, the elections, and how people are facing this election, how we hope they will be able to handle it in a civilized manner and not turn it into a do-or-die affair. And particularly between now and then, government should not be reduced only to election campaign. Government must still face our problems.
Well, it's been 2 days of anxious wait, but at last Governor Babatunde Fashola has visited today the Synagogue Church of All Nations. His visit threw up some issues, one of which was the question of whether the collapsed building had an approved plan. Well, the governor would not talk about that as he dashed into his vehicle without uttering a word. But the State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Mr. Toyin Ainde, said he was surprised that the church had not acquired government approval for the building, which was under construction. Our correspondent, Kelvin Obeton, reports.
44 people killed and 140 injured. That's the latest figures emanating from the collapse of the 6-story building that was meant to be a guest house for visitors. At this stage, the level of work becomes more critical as earth movers are deployed to scoop out large chunks of sandstones. Quite an intensive excavation work going on here. These slabs will have to give way to allow for easy access and to see what lies underneath the debris. There are fears that the number of dead victims may increase as rescue operation intensifies. Already, a disgusting odor from the rebels fills the air. Earlier, the founder of the church, Temitope Joshua, hosted members where he revealed the footage reportedly captured by security cameras. He claims the collapse might have been masterminded by a strange aircraft. One of the visitors to the scene of the incident is Governor Babatunde Fashola. After observing activities at the site, he goes into a closed-door meeting with the leadership of the church. It lasted for about 20 minutes. He then left the meeting without talking to the media.
All of these people up here are your personnel?
Collapsed structure.
But the Commissioner for Fiscal Managing Director of the State Building Control Agency tells journalists that investigation is ongoing. But there are more startling revelations.
Up till now, we have no proof that there's permit. That is why we need the engineering team to explain a few things to us until we have carried out an investigation, until we have determined. I have said that I have no proof of a permit, but maybe they have one that they want to show me. So until I have given them that opportunity to present one or not to present one before a decision to sell can be taken.
Right from that one over there, that you can't have an existing building and then start putting up more structure on the building. And even before you can do that kind of a thing, you must have a structural integrity test done to confirm that the structure is stable and can still take more of these floors and more weight. And there are a lot of things that we found that, you know, if you can't, even if you ask them, they're not ready to tell you. And I can tell you that one, 3 days ago we sealed the place, but immediately we left, within seconds, they just removed everything.
The search for the dead and trapped victims continues, but the cause remains elusive. The fatality evokes concerns over the integrity of other structures in the premises. Kelvin Obetin, Channels Television News.
We turn from the tragedy in Lagos now to politics. The Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria has confirmed that only 3 people were injured when a pavilion collapsed at its zonal rally, which took place in Minna, Niger State. Director of Communication and Strategy of the group, Udenta, said the 4th zonal rally was a success despite the incident. He said the pavilion, where top government officials were seated, collapsed owing to the extra weight put on it by aides of some of the dignitaries at the event.
But then, you know, in the spirit of the moment, the surging crowd in their thousands, which everybody witnessed on live television, some of the aides of these important dignitaries clung on the head onto the rails of this structure. Very strong structures all right, but of course not concrete structures that we have. You know, even repeated announcement that they should leave the race and so on, they allow the dignitaries, you know, safe space because we have enough security on ground to protect the people who came there. But of course, you know, the culture of protecting your boss, you know, is far outweighs other security considerations. It is the extra weight of the aids that came in there that caused that particular single pavilion out of about 3 or 4 already set up to cave in a little bit and for people to sustain those 3 minor injuries. Yesterday's rally was a hugely successful event in spite of that regrettable incident. And our thoughts and prayers to the few individuals, about 3 people were lightly injured, you know, and they were taken to the hospital. And the governor of even Niger State eventually went to visit them. They're in very good condition, you know, and they fairly discharged, you know, from the hospital for their minor injuries. So there are just 3 minor injuries that's sustained by the aides to some of the dignitaries that came, and that disruption therefore did not create any situation that could have truncated our rallies. That is, you know, putting the record straight.
Amidst growing concerns about providing a cure to the dreaded Ebola virus disease, the governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, is challenging researchers and medical practitioners to get down to work and develop vaccines that can cure the disease. The governor gave this charge to medical practitioners graduating from the Imo State University Teaching Hospital in Orlu.
Today, this nation is in shock of Ebola. And Ebola has become a thing of concern. And in fact, every Nigerian now is worried. Some no longer shake hands, and some don't even interact with their relations because of fear of Ebola. But time has come when we must never wait for Americans or for the Europeans to help us embark on research on the solution to Ebola. I think I challenge the Nigerian medical doctors and researchers to go into the field and see what we can do to find us a solution to Ebola. I believe that you can provide a solution.
and you can do it. I know you're not going to quit, but determination can make all this possible.
Well, 10 Liberian government officials have been laid off after they flouted a directive by the president not to leave the country without permission. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said the officials were sacked because their action showed they were insensitive to the country's tragedy. The 10 officials include 2 commissioners, 6 assistant ministers, and 2 deputy ministers at the Justice Ministry, Witonia Dixon Barnes and Victoria Sherman Lang. Liberia has been the worst hit of all the countries struggling with the Ebola virus disease. The president has appealed to the United States for urgent help in tackling the crisis. However, things look like they're about to get worse as the World Health Organization has warned that thousands more cases could occur in the country. In other news, promoting the value of integrity was a watchword at the 2nd annual Christopher Kolade Lecture on Business Integrity, which held in Lagos. The speakers included the Director General of the Nigerian Securities and Exchange Commission, Ms. Saruma Ote, who also emphasized the importance of transparency as an invaluable business ethic. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
This lecture was one with a defined purpose: to champion the cause of ethical business practices with zero tolerance for corruption, as part of an increasing agitation for business integrity in Nigeria.
Surely our market needs further depth. I believe that if we had more listed companies who are prepared to subject themselves to the standards that come with listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that we will show the world that integrity is what we value.
The theme was Business Case for Business Integrity, and the panelists went straight to the point.
Trust is important. Trust also because we're custodian of people's finances. I once heard that when you tell your child, if you don't tell lies today, I will give you a sweet. You are not reinforcing his love for truth. You are reinforcing his love for sweets. I think that the same thing. If you are telling people, be honest, because in this way you will get more money, I don't think that person will stay honest very long.
I think it's the same thing of companies. It's for our own good that we do the right thing, because it enables us to stand for the long term when the benefits come.
After the lecture, the speakers still had other contributions to make.
I do not accept the concept of a Nigerian factor, and I'll tell you why. If you watch the way that Nigerians behave at home, you'll see that there's a lot to criticize. Take the same people away from here and put them in an environment where things are easier to operate, where things go around and so on, and they behave themselves.
My view is that we have a reputational deficit, that people's perception of us is worse than reality. And how you react to those kinds of issues is that you then make sure that you have the highest standards, so that people can see that integrity is something that we appreciate and that we accept.
The entire endeavor was another building block of creating awareness on the need and importance of integrity in business in Nigeria. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, new police commissioners resume in Delta and in Rivers States. That's in a moment. Please join us again.